ashabihi ajma'in. Wa ba'd. All praise are due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and surely Allah is the friend and protector of the righteous. And I bear witness that Allah is one and has no partners, and that Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, is his servant and his last messenger. And may Allah always and constantly send peace and blessings to Muhammad, to his family, to his companions, to all those who call to his way forever. My beloved brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In our discussions, we have opened up a type of secret box that for a long time was closed to this community. And that is, what is the relationship of the society to Muslims, their culture to our culture? Where do we fit inside of this? How do we understand their culture? Many of us have come to these lands or been grown up in these lands and just take things for granted. We don't listen. But the presence of children, the presence of our children is now forcing us to reinvestigate our relationship with the society. We have to be involved with the society. You cannot hide from the world that we're living in. But within this society, or the principles of this society, there is room for disagreement. And it's not everybody who believes everything. And so as Muslims, we also have the right to express ourselves and to understand what is happening. And in thinking about the different forms of Shirk, Shirk al-Akbar, the greatest form of polytheism, we realize that it has come classically in the Muslim world in many different ways. What is happening today is a new type of shirk, a new type of polytheism, which is coming through the culture of the society itself. It is in the songs, it is in the symbols, it is in the colors, it's within the lifestyle. And for people who lose their religion, and the majority of Canadian people now are moving away from organized religion. Many people are becoming atheists. So for somebody who has a cultural vacuum, who has nothing, then what fills it is this new type of global culture, which is being structured behind certain principles that have been resurrected from the polytheism of the past. In driving down on December 25th, I was driving down the 401, and I put on 680. I want to find out whether there's a traffic jam in front of Victoria Park. And they put on a Christmas jingle that they play for the children. And it said, they're talking about Santa Claus, the individual we have identified in the previous lecture. And they said, he knows when you are sleeping, he knows when you're awake. He knows if you are good or bad, so be good for goodness sake. Now think about this. The children just laugh and they sing it. But if this man knows when you're sleeping, everybody, and he knows when everybody's awake, he knows whether we do good or we do bad. Who is he? That's the description of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see what I'm saying? So what it is putting into the mind of the child is that this individual has some sort of a supernatural power, and they weave it around the culture itself. And it seems innocent, and it is for children. They just want a piece of candy. There's nothing wrong with it. But the point is that these jingles, these sayings, these things stay inside the mind, and it affects the individual even later on in life. And so we as Muslims, having basira, and we've been told to call to the way of our Lord, as the Quran says, with basira, with sight, insight, that you know what's happening around you. You're not a blind consumer. And so what we understood is that the society based its culture, this nature-based culture, which has come into the modern culture and is being resurrected here now in North America. It's being resurrected, and it's being pushed around in a different form. It came based upon the relationship of people to the movement of the heavens, the stars, the moon, also the seasons. When the seasons change, their relationships change. Also, they believe there are certain powers in nature, right? This all powerful force that they call nature. What is nature? Okay, nobody knows what it is. We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set up certain systems in the universe, but they think of nature as a type of force. It is a force, right? So this is what they're projecting. And the child is playing with the games and the video games and Star Wars and whatever. And so Luke Skywalker, the hero in Star Wars, he said the force. He believes in the force, right? There's a good side of the force and there's an evil side of the force. This is Buddhism. They're literally pushing down ancient religions in a new form. And so with the change of the seasons, what happened in the northern countries is that when we come out of this season itself, we are now right in the center of the solstice. We just passed December 21st, and we're now moving out of the solstice. But January and February are going to be the coldest months of the year, wal-iyadhu billah. And so this is the time when people who did not have central heating, they would die. They would become very sick. And so they prayed to whatever gods they believe in to come out of that cold. And it's a dramatic change. If many of you, if some of you come from Southeast Asia, if you come from the Caribbean, from Guyana, Trinidad, or Malaysia, right? In Malaysia, all year round, it's about 30 degrees and it's raining out. Right? Half the day it rains, half the day the sun comes out. That's the equator, right? So the difference in the season is about 2 or 3 degrees. And then rainy season. So the rain, but here it's a drastic change. Out of the season of death, winter is the season of death, when things die. It's very dark outside. You see how dreary it is here. Okay? You think it's bad. Go to our brothers who are living in Iqaluit. We are opening up a masjid in a place called Nunavut now by Greenland. Inshallah, we put the foundation down. And in the summer, we want to open this masjid, the first masjid in the province of Nunavut, which is northern Canada. Right now in Nunavut, it's total darkness all day. For the next 40 days, no sun at all. At Dhuhr time, it's like midnight. Could you imagine that? For 30 days. Now imagine you're living in minus 50-degree temperature. No sun. No central heating. And so they tried to pray. They tried to do anything to come out of this. They saw the evergreen tree was alive outside. As you see some of these trees. It's called evergreen. So they took it inside of the house and they put it inside. And they said, maybe the life that's in this tree can be life for my children. It's like we call a tamima, a ta'weez, right? And this was a form of shirk. And the Prophet ﷺ used to take these amulets off the necks of his followers. They tie it around the camel, they tie it on the horse, and he would take it off their necks and stop them from wearing these things. Okay, but this ta'weez can come in different forms. Different objects that you want to place inside of your home to protect you. When I went to Turkey, they have this, it's a blue eye. It's like turquoise blue, in the middle of it is dark blue. It's an eye. Everybody, all around the place is the eye, right? And they believe if you have that eye, then it's going to protect you. The jinnis will not come in your house. I don't know what it is. It's some sort of spiritual protection. You must put it on your door. You put it everywhere. This is the concept of the tamima, right? But this will not really help us from any evil that actually comes. It is our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is tawakkul. It is dependence on Allah azza wa jal, right? It is being in the sunnah which will help us. And so the season of death, when March comes, the new year begins. And it changes. And the solstice is coming in around March 21st. And then now your spring is coming, the equinox. And now you will see, if it's your first time in Canada, you'll see everything is dead around you. And when March comes, you'll see a dramatic change. plants start popping up right in front of you. You thought everything was dead, and now it is coming to life. And that is more proof to us that Allah Azza wa Jal tells us in many parts of the Quran that if I can give life to the death, to the plants, can I give life to you? That's one of the hujjah. This is a hujjah. It's an argument on us every year when we see it. But the people who believed in nature worship, they believed that it was a force or a power that was coming up. And they called the one who was doing this, they called her a pagan goddess called Ostre or Ostern, and we now call Easter. So the word Easter is a pagan goddess who lived, they believe, thousands of years ago. And when the spring season comes, she waves her wand and everything turns green. You see? That's the concept. And so a cult develops out of this, a religion develops out of this. It's based on signs and symbols. And when I asked the children the other day what they thought, and the young children will know here, if I say to you, if I said to a young person, if I said sugar, what comes in your mind? Chocolate, you see? If I say to you Easter, what comes in your mind? Bunny rabbit, he said. What else comes in your mind, any children here? Easter. Eggs. See what they're saying? Flowers. They're going to start giving you fertility symbols. The egg is the symbol of life, right? It's life. Rabbits have babies fast in the mammals. If you have a male and female rabbit and put it in your backyard, soon there'll be little rabbits all over the place. Right? It's fertility, life, right? So it is a cult of life. And so for them, it was life after death. See the concept? Death in the winter, life in the spring. That was the whole celebration and the whole basis. And the symbol of life for them was the cross, Salib. The cross did not come with Jesus. Isa alayhi salam was Jewish. All of his followers were following the law of Moses. The cross was an ancient symbol for eternal life. You see it, in the ancient Egyptians have it, in many cultures. The Egyptian called the Ankh. You'll see it on their temples. I went to Abu Simbel and up the Nile, and then in the temples you will see this Ankh. It's a cross with a loop on it. So this is an ancient symbol within the societies itself. They also used to make certain buns. They would make a type of sweet, a bun, and they put a cross on it. They call it hot cross buns. And when Easter season comes, you're going to see this in the marketplace. All over the place, hot cross buns. This is an ancient culture, long before the time of Isa alayhi salam. The main individual involved in this was a person called Mithra, or Mithras. This is an important name. Any of you like to investigate secret cults or to investigate what's in the society, try to look up this word Mithras and see the cult of Mithras. This is something, it's unbelievable. Mithras was worshipped before the time of Isa alayhi salam. They said he was born of a virgin on December 25th. He was the son of the main god. He sacrificed himself for humanity. He was crucified and buried in a tomb. He was resurrected from the tomb. His followers' day is the 7th day of the week, which we now call Sunday. You see? The Yahud, the Jews, had Yom HaSabbat, Saturday. Why did they switch it to Sunday? You see? Why are Christians worshiping on Sunday? It's supposed to be Yom HaSabbat. It's because of this religion. His followers would do a type of baptism, and they would take a piece of bread and dip it in wine, and they would say, eat it as his body and his blood. That's done in the Catholic Church right now. They put a symbol on their head, ashes on their head. We have this from making sujood, right? Min athar as-sujud, simahum fi wujuhihim, min athar as-sujud, right? The Quran said, you see the mark on their heads, but they would put a mark in there with ashes, and that's what the Christians do on what they call Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday. This cult, in the year 325, it was outlawed. The church took over, and they said, this cult must be destroyed. It's finished. No more. Underground. But the problem was their followers continued. And they wanted to do something on this time. They struggled back. The Christian teachings came in. Paul changed the teachings around. It was not the same Tawheed. It was open for change. And around the 4th century, when the banning of this, it came together and it formed a new group. And this group then had a number of ceremonies. The leader of the group, the one who really organized this, was the emperor of Constantinople. His name was Constantine. And he had a council called the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. That time they put the Bible together. They put together present-day Christianity. But what is important for us is the pagan culture. You remember the two streams. There's Tawheed and Shirk. They come together and they get confused and mixed. So now when you say the word Easter, the person will say eggs, rabbits, flowers, chickens, and then after a while they'll say Jesus. So the Christian said, if you can't beat them, join them. So remember, the pagan ceremony was death and then life. The Christians then took the image of Mithras, not Isa alayhi salam. It was totally different than this. They resurrected Mithra's image. He became the central character. He is now the one who was crucified, put into a tomb, and was resurrected on the 3rd day. That's where all of this belief, all their belief systems came from, and now they call the whole thing as Easter. The whole thing is Easter. And this is something which we understand is a confusion. It's a confusion that comes in the spring, right? It's supposed to be their greatest holiday, but it is a confusion amongst them because more and more of their people are understanding this is not the true teachings of Isa alayhi salam. It is for us to show them what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. They did not kill him, nor did they crucify him, but it was made to appear to them that they did. So we need to show them the true image of Isa alayhi salam. Now their season continues. The summertime comes, and it starts to go into the fall season. In the fall season, these are the major holidays we're looking at. The fall season is another strange time for them, because now the summer, the warmth is going, and first it gives you plants, it gives you ripened fruits. So there are more fruits to eat in the fall than at any time. The plants are all now ripening, and they used to have a special ceremony that they called, this was one, the Romans called it for Pomona, the Greeks had it, and it's like what they call today Thanksgiving. Because you have to give thanks. That's a natural thing. Your fruits are ripened. They gave thanks. It was a really joyous occasion. But it started getting cold. Death was coming back of the winter. So they had another ceremony, which is for a so-called Lord of the Dead called Samhain. They had a special ceremony for Samhain, and this would happen on October 31st. It happens in the evening. This is this Samhain. And they believed, and I'm not making this up, I'll bring you, I got the proof, and this is what they believed. That on October 31st night, the souls of the people who died in the year before rise, and they walk around the land. So if you killed somebody, or you stole his money, and he rose up, he's going to get you on that night. He's coming for you, right? So therefore, in order to protect themselves, they would wear a mask. See what they do on Halloween? They wear a mask, right? They mask themselves, so they cannot be seen by these creatures that are now coming on the surface. And the Druids, who are the priests of the north, they used to make bonfires. They would take prisoners and burn them alive. But when the church came in, they tried to ban this ceremony. But again, the nature worshippers are powerful. And so you can't beat them, join them. What did they do? From the 7th century, they said, we will call November 1st All Saints' Day. You see? All Saints' Day. And the night before, right, All Saints' Day, also All Hallows' Day, for the people who have died for our religion. And the night before become All Hallows' Evening, which is shortened to be Halloween. See where the name comes from? All Hallows' Evening or Halloween. In this time, they, in the name of their religion, still confused. They continued their ceremony, but all of the churches of Satan, well, iyadhu billah, these churches around the world, this is their main holiday. That's the night they gather together. And right now, in America, officially there is a church of Satan. Well, iyadhu billah. It was started by Anton Levy in San Francisco in the 60s. And if you are in the service and you die as a Jew, they bring a rabbi. If you die as a Muslim, they'll bring an imam. If you die as somebody in the church of Satan, they will bring you a priest from the church of Satan. Well, iyadhu billah. So these churches now that are growing in strength, this is their occasion. The American form of it became business. They turned it into a business. And that's what's happening with all of these ceremonies, especially the Christmas one, right? And that's your Janus face, right? Spiritual, but materialism. So they turned it into a business. They call it Halloween. And the children would go from house to house, right, asking for food. You put on a mask, right? And they ask for food or ask for candy. If you give it to them, they smile. If you don't, they do something to you. They're supposed to do something to you. Okay, and this is how they would function with the children. Our position is clear, because this is different even than Christmas or Easter that's supposed to be holy. This is the evil time. And for Muslims, there is no compromise with evil. The shaitan, wal iyadhu billah, is described as aduun mubin, open enemy. Right? And secondly, somebody say, well, Brother Abdullah, you know, we're Muslims in Canada, and, you know, I'll dress him like a, you know, a Shaikh. I'll put on a thing and make him like Muslim. Or make him Arab chic. And he asks a trick or treat. When he goes around, number one, the Prophet ﷺ said, al yad al ulya khayran min yad al sufla, that the upper hand is better than the lower hand. We don't teach our children to beg. Secondly, if they give candy, what is in the candy? Most of the candy has gelatin. Most of it has a type of pork inside of it. Right? You don't know what they're putting inside the bag. Third, it is dangerous on those evenings. And so we take a clear position, a clear stance on this. There is no compromise. But we do say, lock your door, do something, have an alternative program, right? Do something, but make it different. Islamic. Some Muslims said, no, Brother Abdullah, we're living in Canada, so we're going to call it not Halloween, we call it Halalween. See it? Halalween. Is there Halalween? Can you take a pig and say Bismillah Allahu Akbar? Is it halal? It's haram, because the pig is najis ayn. Pig itself is haram. You cannot make this ceremony halal. But we can have an alternative. And we can keep it away. This is a dangerous time. This Halloween one is dangerous. And the Jehovah's Witnesses and other people go straight to the school and say, my children are not in this. They speak openly. And they're Christians. So we have to be open as well when we are looking at this. And in conclusion, I want to go back to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which is sort of our theme, which is giving us, a way out of this, something to think about. The Prophet ﷺ, on the authority of Anas bin Malik radiallahu anh, narrated to us, it was narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Thalathun muhlikat wa thalathun munjiyat." There are three things which will destroy you, and there are three things which will bring salvation. Okay? Destruction and salvation. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, "Thalathun muhlikat, shuhun muta' wa hawan muttaba' wa i'jab al-mar'i bi nafsi. Wa thalathun munjiyat, khashiyatullah fi sirri wal alaniya, wal qasdu fil faqr wal ghina, wal adlu fil ghadab wal rida." The Prophet ﷺ said there are three things which cause destruction. Shuhun muta', miserliness, when it is obeyed, your desires, right? When it's obeyed, right? When people start following their greed, and greed right now is one of the biggest problems in the world. The rich are getting richer, and the poor are getting poorer. And also in the Muslim world, you will go to parts of the Muslim world and see people who have more money, than anywhere else maybe on earth. And you go to another part, and they're starving to death. So this is affecting all of us, the human race and Muslims in particular. And next, when the passion or the hawa, when your hawa is followed, you follow whatever you want to do, what your whims, fancies. Like we said, Nike Air said, "Just do it." They put it on their shirt. Just do it. What does that mean? Just do it. Do anything, right? You have no control. So when you follow your hawa, then it's destruction. And we see it happening all around us. And the third part is when it's self-conceit. When the person is so conceited that they feel that they are right, everybody else is wrong, and this self-conceit is afflicting us right now, where people will have a fiqhi position, or they will have their movement, and they say, "I'm right and all the other Muslims are wrong," instead of being open-minded and understanding that even different ways to make salat in the sunnah. Okay, but open-mindedness is important within the teachings of Islam. And self-conceit is a dangerous thing. So the person starts almost worshiping themselves, or feeling that what they believe and what they say is like something directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is leading many people astray. But in conclusion, the Prophet ﷺ didn't leave us alone. There are three things which will lead to salvation: fear of Allah in secret and in the open. So when you are not only around people, when you're by yourself. That is where taqwa develops, right? Having this consciousness of Allah, fear of Allah, even when you're by yourself. And secondly, moderation when you're rich or poor. Okay, so whatever state you are in, you're balanced, right? You're balanced. You're not going to go to extremes, right? You're always given zakat. Recognizing wealth is a blessing, right? Poverty is a test, right? Keep that balanced line. And finally, justice when angry or pleased. This is a problem striking us now. If Muslims are pleased, they are very just. But if you're angry, if somebody hurt you or hurt somebody in your family, can you still do justice? If you look at the example of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, they had to embrace people who were killing them, destroying them, driving them out of their homes. And so we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would bless us and would help us in these times that we are going through, and help the younger generation. And it is upon us, our communities, to develop a type of alternative culture to answer these problems, to get this knowledge, right, and to give some Islamic guidance when we are involved in these confusions. Billahi tawfiq. I want to open up the floor for any final questions in the final few moments that we have. Floor is open. Yes, brother.
Shaikh, you spoke about that some people use Ayatul Kursi or
Right. Yeah.
The same way that you described.
Right.
Sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they will
Yeah. Right.
sometimes they hang it with the
Right.
how does that work?
Now, the question is about tamima. That what happens if the tamima is Ayatul Kursi, the amulet? What if it's Allah? What if it's something like this? Is it permissible? Is it not permissible? Some people hang it in their cars. Some people put it on their babies. Some people put it all around the place. The scholars have allowed people to have calligraphy, the khat, or even if they had necklace, right, as long as it's for beautification, zina. So it's for beautification. But the problem is, when the person feels that this object will bring them benefit or will protect them from evil, that is the danger. You see? So people believe that they have this tamima on, and they hang it, and they think that, this is going to protect me. And some people really take it serious. There was one brother, I won't say which country he come from, but they were colonized by the French. And he said, he raised them up in the masjid. And he said, I've been wearing these these things, for the last 10 years. This is protection for me. If we wear this in battle, they shoot the bullet and the bullet bounces off. I said, what happened with the French, man? It didn't work, but you got colonized, right? So what happened with the French? It didn't work. Okay? This is something in the mind. How can this tamima protect you from something coming at you? What does it do? Is it a force field around you? Let's try to analyze it. What is it? If you say, no, it protects me against the jinni, against an evil jinn coming in, right? So what is it? The jinn come and a force field comes? No, that's not what it is. The Prophet ﷺ showed us clearly that, the real protection is tawakkul. It's dependence on Allah Azza wa Jal. And Ayatul Kursi, the power of Ayatul Kursi is to read it and believe in it. Because if you see what Ayatul Kursi is saying, if there is a force around you, right, evil, and you start reading Allahu la ilaha illahu al-hayyul qayyum la ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm, you're describing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to it. You're saying to this thing that Allah is, ever living. He's the one God. He does not sleep. He does not slumber. Right? You're describing Allah to this thing. You see, so if you believe in it and you read it, that's the power. If somebody has the calligraphy for design in their house, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is, if they hang it, that is the danger. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ta'allaqa tamima wukila ilayha." Whoever hangs this tamima, that becomes your protector. You're no longer under the protection of Allah. So this is something which in our culture, in the Muslim world, it's big. It's slowed down here. If you like it as a design, it's okay. If you're Turkish or whatever and you have that blue eye, right? You know what I'm talking about? It's it's turquoise and inside is a blue eye. Not every single, but many of the places I went to, they have this thing. Now, if that's Turkish culture, no problem. You like turquoise and blue and it's a nice design. But if you think that that's going to be in your shop and protect you, this is going against Islamic thing. See the point I'm saying?
I've seen the eye in different Arabic countries too, and sometimes it's like a hand.
Yeah, the hand, right, and sometimes it has an eye inside of it.
But I know about that, and could be wrong too.
Yeah.
I was trying to
So,
and most of the time he's not seeking protection, they are actually fending off
the evil eye. Right, now the point is, the stories about the evil eye, that the evil eye is real. The evil eye is real. But what the evil eye is, and that's where hasad is, right? That's why in Surah Al-Falaq, we are seeking, protection min al-hasid idha hasad. Right, so we're seeking protection from the evil that comes from the eye, right? That is an evil force. It is like the evil, but this is, I'm not talking about the evil that could come from somebody, like you feel negative about somebody, and the shaitan uses that evil to harm the person. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about defense against it. How do you defend yourself, you see? What they are doing is they're putting an eye on their side. So my eye is going to defeat your eye. That's not the way we defeat it. We defeat it through our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, through the halal things that are around us, right? The more tawakkul and belief in taqwa we have, the least power this has. There was a brother here in Toronto, you know, he had a restaurant, and it was January, right around this time, you know, 2 weeks from now, he had his restaurant, and nobody was going to his restaurant, middle of January. He said they went to the magician, and he put a jinni in my shop. So I went to his restaurant, and I said, where's the jinni? Get me now. And the brother ran. No jinni came. I said, brother, the reason why they're not coming to your restaurant is because they spent all their money on Christmas and New Year's. They don't have any money, man. Nobody's going to go to restaurants in January, right? They spent all their money. It's no jinni in the middle of your shop. You see, most of it is superstition, right? There is an eye thing. But people take it too much. They take it, they go overboard with it, man. And they start seeing evil all around them and, you know, whatever, and this is too much. Right? The more we have tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more we strengthen ourselves. We're eating halal food, right? We're doing things that the brother called me and he said, my wife, she sees this jinn, this black thing comes on her bed, a big black thing on the bottom of the bed. And she sees it and it's terrorizing us. And I said, okay, and she's on the line now. And I said, brother, do you make salat? He said, brother Abdullah, it's Canada. You know, and I can't make 5 salat. That's okay. Do you eat halal food? He said, no, brother, it's Canada. You know, it's too North America. I can't get halal food. I said, do you fast in Ramadan? He said, no, it's too hot in the summer. You know, I can't. I said, brother, am I the Pope? Like, what do you want from me, man? I can't help you, man. If you don't pray and you don't fast and you don't eat halal food, how do you expect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you, right? You have the protection right in your own hands. You don't need somebody else. And if it does strike you, it's a test. It's a test. And you seek specialized help. But most cases, it's not real. No. That's right. That's right. And you know, we have a natural protection with all the things of Islamic lifestyle. The brother come to me and he said, brother Abdullah, there's a jinni in my head, get it out. And I said, okay, how many jobs do you have? He said, I have 2 jobs. 8 hours and 8 hours every day. I said, brother, do you know what stress is? Stress. You're tired, man. Ta'ban. That's your problem. Get rid of one of your jobs. There's no jinni in your head. Just work 1 job per day, man. Why do you got to put it on the jinni? You see? So we use these things too lightly. We have to have more tawakkul. Right? We have to believe that this salat that we have, and this fasting, and this zakat that we give, and this hajj, and this fasting, it is a purification. It's a tahara. We're constantly making tahara. We're constantly purifying ourselves and protecting ourselves from the evil things. So, yeah, go ahead.
What message would you recommend for us to communicate with people outside this masjid, including beneficial programs like this, specifically in regards to the culture that's producing this apathetic attitude towards learning their deen? You know, I tried to bring some camaraderie to someone even today to the masjid, but for whatever reason they weren't interested, they were confused. And what do you think is causing this? To produce this apathetic attitude towards learning their deen, and the message that you think we can give to those outside?
Well, you know, for those who are, you know, apathetic and, you know, whatever, sometimes we have to go outside the masjid with some of our programs, right? And then, you know, have different types of programs. You know, something that would be of interest to the people, you know, to get them involved in the community. But there are many people who are out there, and so, more things have to happen outside there. They can see Muslims on the outside instead of just seeing us inside. And that's really important. But it is under leadership, inshallah, to develop more programs. Here and other masajid, we want to start some programs, inshallah, even from January, where you'll have different types of things happening. Here where you can invite people in, inshallah, you may hear some announcements about this. So I want to end this session, inshallah, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would, protect us and protect our children, and have mercy upon us and guide us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Bismillah wa salatu wa Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Abdullah Hakim Quick. Barakallahu feekum for coming and